Hey everybody, CreamCrazy here, and welcome to the now 2 days late in the news bulletin. That's right, it's taking me 2 fucking days to get this thing up, and that's because of, well, 2 systematic reasons. 1, I learned the lesson to not play Xbox on Xbox Live while waiting for a video to upload, because it obviously means it'll fail. Stupid internet. And second of all, don't fall asleep during the upload process, because I woke up and my video was ready to upload and fully publish, but it didn't fucking do it. And that's made me realise, you know what, I might as well just do this then, because it's just going to be pointless if you got people often complaining saying, are you going to do a video this week? Why haven't you put videos up? Because of universal problems. It just happens, you know. Nonetheless, I'm probably going to move in the news to Friday now, because I just feel at the end of the week it's a bit easier to get all the news stories together than it is doing it midweek, because you might miss out on something. Plus, to be honest, I've actually been doing this roundup since Monday, and I've picked out 13 pretty decent stories, which, to be honest, in the world of wrestling, one, in comparison to the others, seems way bigger. I'm going to start off with that large one first, because this one's a massive news story. To me, probably the biggest news story since Vince Russo got fired from TNA earlier in the month. This is, I think, bigger. WWE Champion CM Punk and R&B musician Chris Brown have engaged in a very public Twitter war over the course of this week. In an interview with Hot 97, Punk said he was offended by Brown's attitude after winning a Grammy last week. I think it was last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I don't know. And proclaiming to those who hate on him for domestically abusing Rihanna in 2009 that they could basically fuck off because he's won a Grammy and he's now immune from criticism. Silly bastard. This all began after Punk said he would love to pick Brown to pick on someone his own size after getting annoyed at the things he'd said. The situation got really heated when Brown accused Punk of being on steroids, which led to Punk defending himself in a Twitter vid and challenged Brown to a fight, in which is now turned the spat into an all-out war on the social networking site. Punk also mentioned in his interview with Hot 97 that Brown's actions after the Grammys and his erratic behaviour on Twitter shows that he does, in fact, have anger issues, and he hasn't changed enough to warrant forgiveness from people, highlighting that the access to the global social media site that he has should be taken away from him as a matter of precaution. Which, to be honest, Twitter, I will say this right here, this is a reason why I don't use it. It's a bit fucking crazy. Upon being questioned about whether him fighting Brown would be making Punk a hypocrite for speaking against violence while condoning it in this case, Punk said in all fairness it would be an unfair fight due to size and weight differences, just like it was when Rihanna got beaten up by Brown. TNA wrestler Kurt Angle even commented on this story. Interesting. Questioning Punk's motives for engaging in this war of words, saying that I agree that CM Punk is right about Chris Brown, but why are you involved? For publicity? Punk talks a good game, but for what? Angle said in a later tweet that he would rather hold a benefit for abused women than fight Brown himself, but mentioned afterwards, I could beat Chris Brown's ass. I doubt if Punk could, lol, but violence is wrong. Brown must pay, I agree. Now, to be honest, Chris Brown is a dick for thinking that he could mask over everything that's happened because he won a Grammy and managed to get back into critical acceptance in the music industry. That doesn't do fuck all. And it's something that, to be honest, it's good to see that the media are in support of a wrestler. Seriously, when the fuck has that ever happened in the last 5 or 6 years? When the hell has the mainstream media shown support for a wrestler? Basically, I can't see an example of it. I mean, sure, maybe Cena doing something for Make-A-Wish Foundation and all this time is probably higher up there. But you see, it's good to see that someone other than Cena is getting good mainstream attention. It was wrong for Punk for Brown to go down that really silly line of going into the stereotype that all wrestlers are on steroids, with knowing this guy is straight edge. It makes you think he's a bit stupid. And I really do not understand why Chris Brown is being such a dick after winning an award. He should be fucking humble for winning an award even after all he's been through. It shows some people are willing to forgive and forget, but he obviously wants to make sure people don't. And it's even on a broader scale, this feud could not have come at a better time for the WWE, because it is in the road to WrestleMania. If anything is going to get WWE better press coverage, especially good ones, by having Punk stand on the moral high ground, this is perfect. This could get them extra publicity on their WWE champion, leading towards the biggest event of the year. Now, if that isn't a good thing, I don't know what is. On the subject of Punk of Angle, though, I mean, obviously both Punk and Angle could kick the shit out of Chris Brown. Punk could do it without Angle's help. Just saying, this all could be for publicity. This could be Punk trying to jump on the media bandwagon of this, or he was genuinely offended, in which case he had to take some action. And basically, because Twitter is the giant juggernaut of social media that it is, it kind of made sense for him to take a swipe, because in all fairness, it's just something good to watch from the outside, because I don't use Twitter. It's great to see that a wrestler is actually doing something right by calling out this dick in all ways possible. To be honest, who wouldn't want to see Chris Brown get his ass kicked? Anyone? That's good? Fine. That's definite. That's definitive proof anyone will want to see that stupid arsehole get his ass plainly kicked. An anonymous WWE wrestler texted the PW Insider this week criticising The Rock. Yep, somebody in the WWE locker room had the brass to text a wrestling news site criticising the Great One. That should, to be honest, be an interesting read. In fact, the text was put online. The Rock comes in to use WWE to get back the audience he lost doing Disney movies, which is fine, but he's been back over a year, and name one person he has helped make a bigger star since then. No one. He's here for himself. He keeps to himself. He keeps someone who's actually touring here all year from making a bigger payday at the bigger shows. It's all about making the biggest Mania of all time. Okay then, what do we do for the rest of the year? Who's been made? You think he took any blame for Survivor Series not drawing? Of course not. But how do you feud with a guy on the Titantron? Cena nailed the guy dead tonight. Basically, this was texted on Tuesday after Raw. Say anything about Triple H, Taker, etc. Still being in the top spot. But if they needed to work the road, they would, and they would still work their asses off as much as they needed to. Rock is out for Rock, and the idea he's here to better anything but his own wallet is the biggest work of 2012. That is hard-hitting, ladies and gentlemen. That has to be one of the bluntest things I have ever heard a wrestler even say. Let alone whether it be worked, shoot, whatever. That's blunt. And it's quite true, because Rock is out there for himself. To be honest, when he said, "I'm back home and I'm never going to leave," we all were taking it two different ways. We were thinking, he's back, fuck yes, he's going to stay forever, he's never going to go back and do those shitty movies. Or there are people, including myself, thinking, he is probably not going to turn up for most of the year. And people like me were bang on. And people are dissing The Rock because he was literally going back on his promise. I know it was a promo promise, but people in the wrestling world take their word for every single thing it has. And people are criticising The Rock because Cena was dead on. He was perfectly reasonable in saying, yeah, you're not staying here, you haven't come back much. And people are actually starting to take Cena's side. And when this match was announced for WrestleMania this year, nobody was on Cena's side at all. Now, we could see two different camps here. I mean, sure, because it's in Miami, that won't show. But nonetheless, makes me feel this feud now has a bit of legitimacy about it. Now, I don't know who this guy is. And to be honest, I've got to applaud him, because you've got balls. You have balls for doing something which, to be perfectly honest, nobody in their right mind in the WWE would do. Because we all know Vince McMahon would bend over backwards to kiss The Rock's ass. It's obvious. In fact, fuck it. To get rid of all that negative stigma from Disney films, he had to come back. Just putting it out there. I mean, he even put out a response basically saying that what's the reason? There's a reason these people aren't over as they should be, is because they aren't that good. That's basically the outline of what he said in response to this. Listen, Rock, you've got some haters. Just live with it. Every wrestler has haters. Fuck it. I'm not a big fan of yours myself. I'm not a hater, but I'm just stating the blunt truth here. You should really think about it for a second. Are you really doing it for the wallet? Or are you really doing it for the wrestling fans? The millions and millions of The Rock's fans I know are out there. Because if you really want to do something, pick one or the other. Pick either going to make a shitload of money on movies which are mostly crap, or you can be in wrestling where people are going to literally worship at your feet forever, and you're guaranteed to have the support of McMahon and the board of directors, along with a giant wadded paycheck every single time you step in the ring. Which one would you prefer? Huh? I don't know. Which one would you rather have, Rock? Because that'll be very interesting to hear that answer. Right, we all know and believe the Divas match will be on the card at WrestleMania 28. We all think, okay, it's formulaic, it's bound to happen, right? But, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, some WWE officials are against having a Divas match on the card, taking time away from main event matches that people want to see. And there has been talk of the Divas match being the dark match on WrestleMania 28's card. Now, let me just say this off the bat. Why the fuck did you not do this 4 or 5 years ago when the matches that the Divas were in were complete horseshit? Huh? Because honestly, from WrestleMania 23 onwards, we haven't had a good Divas match at WrestleMania. From WrestleMania 23 onwards, the Divas matches have been fucking nothing. The fact is, okay, WrestleMania 23, the Lumberjack match between Ashley and Melina. Could have been something more if it wasn't a Lumberjack match. But no, they had to put it on for 3 minutes between the Battle of the Billionaires match and Cena Michaels. Fuck it, I can't even remember if there was a Divas match at WrestleMania 24. Because I didn't actually watch it on pay-per-view. Well, I didn't watch all of it on pay-per-view. I watched 2/3 of it, but I don't remember there being a Divas match on the card. WrestleMania 25 had the Divas Battle the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, which was pointless. WrestleMania 26, the Divas match wasn't even on the card until the last minute. WrestleMania 27, the Divas were involved in this triple threat match with triple threat tag team match with Snooki involved. Yeah? So, Divas matches, you can say, you could have taken any of those off the WrestleMania cards and they'd be fine. There's an issue with doing it this year. And do you know what that is? You want to know what that is? Huh? That is the fact that we have a potential Karma versus Beth Phoenix match on the cards. Why get rid of a match which would be interesting for everyone? Everyone wants to see Karma do well. Everybody wants to see the battle of two of wrestling's most powerful divas on the biggest stage of them all. It's something even I want to see. And I'm a person who does not like divas matches a lot. You know? And I feel, if you're going to put any match on the undercard, make it one which at least has got no substance whatsoever. You know? If you're going to do something like put Sheamus Daniel Bryan at the bottom of the card like you did last year, you instead of that six mixed tag match, then then you've got no idea how to structure a card. Seriously. The Divas, this year, the Divas match must be on the card, unless it's something else. If it isn't Karma Beth Phoenix, then it probably doesn't deserve to be on the card. I would see the point of this. Timothy Well of the 1990s WWF tag team Well Done was announced to have died earlier in the week, but news sites have had egg on their face as it's been reported that Well is actually still alive. Interesting. The World Wrestling Council of Puerto Rico announced on Monday that Well had passed away, but since the news broke that he was still alive, wrestling news sites have retracted the original story, despite the World Wrestling Council not doing the same. Now, is that an interesting predicament? That news sites have said, we're sorry, there's a correction here, we're happy to announce that Timothy Well is still alive, despite the fact that the World Wrestling Council have not actually taken their announcement down. Interesting. They said it. I don't know if they got beef with him or something. He wrestled the last years of his career in Puerto Rico. It's probably related to the company. I'd expect them to have the decency, when they know he's alive, to take that news segment down. Because it makes the makes the WWC look very unreliable when it comes to its news. You could just say it was misinformation, it was basically a human error in the process. Could have done that and said that we apologise for causing the Wells family and fans any harm. But no, they haven't even done that. So it looks like you've taken another step into the wrong direction, WWC. Definitely. Now on to some quite sad news in this case. The son of Combat Zone Wrestling, the son of Combat Zone Wrestling's owner, John Zandig, has lost both his legs in an apparent suicide attempt. According to ProWrestling.net, John Corson Jr. laid down on the train tracks and waited for a train to run over his body. This isn't the first time that Zandig's family has had to deal with tragedy relating to suicide, as his other son, Cody, committed suicide in 2010 from an apparent self-inflicted drug overdose. Now, I'm going to send out all my condolences, but all my sympathies and everything, and all my support to Zandig's family here, because I mean, I've been in that position myself where I wanted to kill myself before, and it's not the best place to be. And John, all your family can do is to remain positive and assure him that it's not worth dying over. Nothing's worth dying over, even if life is at its shittest. Okay, it's not a good place to be, I know, but at least assure him and keep everything positive. Even with what's happened, you can't let it keep him or you and your family down. So I wish you guys all the best. I hope everything turns out for the better in the long term. In an interesting little development that I found out today, because I find this quite funny actually, WWEshop.com has unveiled a new line of t-shirts entitled Kayfabe. These t-shirts contain slogans such as Heel, Jobber, I Got Heat, I'm So Over, and What's Your Finish? Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! There's actually t-shirts out there with professional wrestling glossary terms and small internal catchphrases on t-shirts sold by the biggest company in pro wrestling. That is very interesting. I can't believe that. Maybe I should get the I'm So Over t-shirt just because, well, am I over? No, I still have around 150 subscribers compared to some people's 2,000. I'm technically not over, but at least it could help. Fuck it. I want to buy one of those shirts. Simple. Also, I do need to get the CM Punk Best in the World t-shirt. I need that, like my life depends on it. Despite WWE.com saying that Shaquille O'Neal wasn't going to be wrestling at WrestleMania this year, Shaq went on ESPN radio to further confirm that he will be. Now that's a piece of publicity, isn't it? WWE saying, no Shaq, you're not going to be here. But Shaq saying, yeah, I'm going to be here. Simple. WWE just working up the crowd and thinking, we can get more attention from this. Cool. Good to see they're doing something towards WrestleMania. Apparently, Santino Marella's recent push has been due to WWE wanting to capitalize on the hype of NBA star Jeremy Lin and his sudden run of good form for the New York Knicks. Lin has become a vital part in many wins for the Knicks in the last couple of months, despite being virtually unknown when he was signed for them last year, in actually December, mind you. This has made WWE want to try something similar and replicate it by using Santino as an underdog who can achieve the impossible coming from absolutely nowhere. And you know what? That's a pretty good idea, because Santino went from comedy jobber to a guy who, to be honest, on crowd reaction alone, looked like he could win the world championship. Now, if Santino lessened his comedy shtick and was allowed to expose a lot more of his wrestling ability, we could have a good wrestler for the future on our hands here. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, ha, Santino was world champion? That's bullshit. That's obviously going to lead to the downfall of the company. Hell, risks like this were meant to be taken, and it's obviously, thanks to the Elimination Chamber, seems like it's paying off. If they want to push Santino further, the crowd reaction is enough to say, push him. Push him to the sky and back and see what happens. Mick Foley, way. I'm saying way because I've just remembered. I haven't remembered. I'm, of course, at this moment, it's 20 to 1 on a Saturday morning. I'm going to be seeing Mick Foley stand up later. He has spoken on Twitter recently about the three things he regrets not doing in his career. These moments were: 1. Not wrestling Vince McMahon at WrestleMania X7. Yeah, that was my reaction. I was thinking, fuck! 2. Not writing the foreword to Luther's autobiography when asked. And 3. Not wrestling on the first memorial show dedicated to Eddie Gilbert. On the subject of the match with McMahon at WrestleMania X7, Foley said that back in 2001, he believed he was truly retired and would not be wrestling ever again, so he turned it down. Now, on that subject, who wouldn't want to see it? Who would have not wanted to see this? The connection between Linda and Foley would have made a fantastic, emotional, dark, intense feud leading towards what is now the greatest WrestleMania in history. The only issue is, where would Shane McMahon have been able to buy WCW and create that ridiculously epic moment? Because, to be honest, after him being his dad's lackey for most of his young career when he wasn't a referee, you honestly thought that was never going to happen. I mean, sure, he turned on his dad once, I think, in the early 2000s before doing this. But still, what happened in the actual match was brilliant for what it was. I would have loved to have seen Foley versus McMahon, because just imagine how much violence there would have been in this match. If it was a street fight, how much violence would have been included in that match? Edge versus Foley would have had to do something ridiculously sick to be able to probably top it. But that ship sailed, and Shane McMahon made himself. Well, actually, I'd say him jumping off the Tron at Backlash 2001 and going through the panes of glass at King of the Ring 2001 made him. But that match put him in the spotlight, which has not been taken off him since. And I've got to say, that match was worth it. But you can never deny Foley versus McMahon would have been a fantastic match to go for. Speaking of Foley, in an interview with BetweenTheRopes.com, he responded to the question of whether his appearance in the 2012 Royal Rumble was his last competitive in-ring appearance. Foley said, "I think at the end of those 6 or 7 minutes that I was out there, I participated in some pretty good stuff. For the purists out there that say you should go out with a classic match, obviously the Rumble is not going to be that classic match, but on the other hand, it was a huge audience. The whole backstory of my kids wanting to see me at Mania was true, and I had a good time. Honestly, moving forward, if I do anything in the ring, that's probably the way I should do things. Sparingly." Now, your appearance of a 2012 Rumble was great, Foley. It may not have been the best performance you've ever done, but to see the Cobra Mr. Socko stand off, one of the funniest things I've seen all year, was definitely worth it. And the fact is, you're in the ring with Ricardo Rodriguez. It showed you still have a comedic tendency about you. And the fact is, Foley, if you're going to do anything, don't wrestle. I'd agree with that, unless you're going to put someone over like Dolph Ziggler or someone like that. Because honestly, your strength is in your mic work. It always has been, always will be. You, maybe for the third time, would be a fantastic GM. Just saying, you could be a thorn in Laurinaitis' side. That's something I'd like to see. Just like Austin and Bischoff, I'd love to see Foley and Laurinaitis sparring over what to do with Raw. It would create entertaining television. I'd see that any day. And I also agree that it's not that the purists would say you have to go out with a classic match. Every purist says that. But not everybody got that choice. And if you get the choice, you can do what you want. Chris Jericho has always said he wouldn't want to go out in a big match. He wanted to just go out on a whimper and do his own thing. Not a problem. If he wants to do it, fine. Foley knows exactly what he wants to do. Let him just pick it out for himself. Michael Cole. Now, this is a funny little news story that I picked up on. He's apologised to Kofi Kingston on Twitter after the lead commentator messed up saying his name during Raw. Cole said that he was sorry that Kofi wasn't memorable enough for his name to be remembered. Lol. With Kofi sarcastically replying that he could be as memorable as Cole's stellar commentary. Also belittling Cole on whether he has learned the difference between a figure 4 to the head and CM Punk's Anaconda Vice yet. I just put it in there because it's a funny story. Gave me a bit of a chuckle, and basically if Kofi can do stuff like this on Twitter, and if he can translate to mic work, good mic work in the ring, push him to the skies. Go on, because to be honest, he fucking needs to. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Brodus Clay's recent removal from TV since the Royal Rumble has been down to Vince McMahon. Interesting. Feeling that Clay is reckless and unsafe to work with in the ring, and he should be off TV until he gets his in-ring skills sorted out. Okay, Vince. Okay, let me get this question to you. Why didn't you do the same thing in the mid-90s with Ahmed Johnson? Let me just understand this. You want to take a guy like Brodus Clay, who is quite well versed in the ring. Sure, his moveset is a bit limited, but he is one of the fastest big men I have ever seen on WWE TV in my 10 years of watching. I'm always wondering to myself, he isn't legitimately injuring anyone. He hasn't done that yet. I mean, sure, sometimes his moves can be and seem quite painful. It's what you're supposed to do, watching through the looking glass of the television. Ahmed Johnson broke people's ribs. He broke people's bones. He put people on the shelf. He was one of the shittest workers. You gave him the IC title and you gave him mic time. And yet, he went around causing more injuries than anyone you could possibly imagine. And it begs the question of why you did nothing with Ahmed Johnson in this case when you've taken Brodus Clay off TV for that's possibly a reason that should have been done for Johnson in that case. I mean, come on. Brodus Clay has got the fans when he comes out slightly in the palm of his hand a little bit. People are interested by Brodus Clay. I don't like his gimmick, but I like him as a wrestler. I mean, why bring him back to just take him off TV again? It seems like a complete waste. Seriously, I mean, sure. On the Ahmed Johnson scenario, I don't know if he was taken off TV or not. I wasn't watching the Attitude Era at that time. I didn't start watching until 2002. So if anyone knows what's happened and what did actually happen with Ahmed Johnson, please put that in the comment section. It will benefit me hugely. And finally, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, again, relatively good sources, even though I use no DQ to access the stories that it brings out. Rey Mysterio was met with negative responses from WWE officials upon his appearance backstage at Raw in San Diego 2 weeks ago, with any mention of his name by anyone resulted in the staff giving negative speeches about him. This has apparently been due to the tough contract negotiations between the company and the legendary cruiserweight, as well as him not returning from his knee injury as quickly as they would have liked. It's also been mentioned by some WWE officials that they're still holding a grudge and feel that Mysterio is lucky to still be employed due to his size and stature. Okay, let me get this straight first. Let me get this straight first. WWE want Ray to get back in the ring as soon as they can. Ray wants to get back in the ring as soon as he can. This does not bode well for Rey Mysterio, because I have said it time and time again. If you want to stop having the injuries, Ray, you gotta heal up. Okay? That knee isn't gonna fucking heal itself if you want to hire a private surgeon in to try and get yourself ready quicker than usual. That does not bode well for you. And I keep saying it every single time your name comes up in discussion. Because it's true. Oh, God. I'm talking nearly 30 minutes straight. I fucking needed that. And I feel that you also are a tough contract negotiator. It's true, Ray. I mean, you want ridiculously long contracts. Knowing even though you are of injury risk and you're only still technically around because you ship the merchandise. People are right that you're lucky to still be employed. Seriously. I mean, all they could do is sign you to a Legends contract in advance. Because you are a legend, there's no doubt. But, come on. You want long, extended 4 or 5 year contracts with a giant paycheck. And you're not going to do it if you're going to continue. You're not going to get that when you're being injured all the time. Just, WWE and Ray himself should just slow down. Because this negative press is fucking deserved. But mostly because they've both spiraled out of proportion in both their camps. Alright? And on there, I'm going to end this, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with the fact that it's taken me 2 days to post this. And basically, I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to comment on any of the news stories, you know where to go. That comments box down there, you put your words in. I will reply as soon as I possibly can. And next time you'll see me, guys, will be Sunday because I've got my Q&A video. Yes. And I'm being nice here, guys. I'm going to extend the Q&A question window by an extra day. So at the moment, UK time, it is 12 o'clock and 49 minutes, okay? It is midnight. It's nearly 10 to 1 here, okay? If you want to get your questions in to me, do them now. Because if you haven't done it, the deadline will be shut on Sunday at midnight. Okay? Sunday, UK time at midnight. Don't know when that is in your time? Go find out on a conversion chart somewhere. And remember, guys, if you haven't already, if you like the videos I've been doing and you want to see more and you want to keep in tune, click that subscribe button up there. I really appreciate your support. Click the like button down there for the video. And also, remember to do 3 important things. Well, one of them which I've already mentioned. 2 important things. 1, add me on Facebook. Link in the description. 2, search me on Skype. I'm CreamCrazyWR. I know I haven't been on there as much. I tend to often forget that it's in the back screen. You know what I mean? I often forget it's there. But when I'm on, I do talk a lot. So please, if you want to get in contact with me about all things wrestling, you know where to find me. Facebook and Skype will be in the description box if you need them. Guys, it's been a very great video here. And also, again, I will ask, do you like my elongated videos? Because again, some people saying yeah they like them. Some saying they would like it shorter. If you want longer or shorter videos from me, put it down there in the comment section, please. Because all feedback is good feedback, unless it's troll feedback, in which case, oh what the fuck? I would just delete their comments right out, or try and reply to them and start a flame war. Either way, it'll happen, guys. I've been Cream Crazy, you've been people watching, this has been the 16th Bulletin of In the News, and I will see you on Sunday, where I'll give my Q&A and a Mick Foley recap. That's right, you're going to hear about all the stuff that went down in Leicester Square Theatre on that video. So, yeah. Nonetheless, my mouth is starting to go, I've got a giant headache, I will leave it here. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Cheers.